we've had this question from our Twitter audience. It says, with the Ramfac audit drive, why would the FRS not object to Ramfac creeping into their role? So in other words, why is FRS not doing anything about it?
Well, I'm not in FRS, so I truly can't say I know the inner workings and what FRS is doing. But we are aware that FRS have been having taxpayer sensitization forums with taxpayers in various industries. I'm aware of a number that has been done with the banks on various issues. I'm aware that a similar exercise relating to Ramfac has been organized to happen this afternoon. So I do believe FRS is trying to address the issue, but we need FRS to be more visible publicly in terms of coming out to actually take a position in terms of Ramfac issues. FRS takes up pages in the papers, public notices. So let's come out and let's have more stronger responses coming out from FRS on this issue. We believe that the issue about Ramfac, FRS, or any other agency trying to should not be a taxpayer problem. It should really be these agencies sitting down and having a discussion, and we believe ministries like the Federal Ministry of Finance should be able to play a role in this. While Ramfac may not report to the Ministry of Finance and reports to the presidency, so people at the presidency too should be able to step in and at the end of the day provide clarity to our taxpayers. So FRS, yes, I believe they are doing things, but on the public surface, we haven't seen sufficient of it, and we haven't seen the results really of maybe a lot of the effort. So we need to see more.
Interesting. This person wants to know that as a company, I guess maybe they've received a request from Ramfac to do an audit. It says, as a company, it's from Tekena. It says, Shalaway, Calabari, I guess. As a company, are we advised to comply with the Ramfac investigation or audit? And before you answer that, let me just join the related question. It then says, in a situation where they comply, right? This is coming from another person, Ayodeji Ajadi, and there is an additional liability arising from the verification, and then there is a need to give a tax rebate, a tax discount. Okay, so where do they get the payment from? FRS or
Ramfac? Okay, so let's start with the first question, that they've gotten a request for audits by Ramfac. So do they need to accede? I think the first thing is to push back, and you question the basis. The tax law talks about FRS coming to do audits and what have you. So push back and wait for Ramfac to respond to you and confirm the basis on which they are actually doing this. I believe we should also put FRS in notes in terms of it that another agency is claiming to do this. We need you to intervene in this too, because you're my tax authority and I've duly responded to you on tax cases. You can also show to Ramfac that the years under review possibly have even been audited already. And let's see what happens in that because we know from experience that, yes, maybe there'll be pushback by Ramfac or thereabout, but I think you owe it to yourself to do that. Then you should explore if you're in an industry, and I'm sure if they come to you, you're not probably the only one. So rally around with other industry players or subsector players, see what is happening, and then see how you, as a collective body, you can challenge this as well. And like we said from the beginning, we like people to take it to court. Wale has talked about a client that has done that, but others can also equally do that, challenge this, and let's ask about the legality of Ramfac actually doing those audits. So we come to the next one, in which case we have acquiesced and these audits have been done, and there is liabilities that has been established. Now, if it's a case of liability, obviously you need to pay. And like we said, Ramfac has advised of some dedicated accounts at the CBN that those tax recoveries are meant to be paid into, so you need to pay to it. Now, you talked about if there's need for a rebate, and I'm trying to figure out how it happens. But in any event, let's take the case that...
So if I may just clarify that, Nick,
okay.
I think what the person is probably saying is that, so Ramfac has done the audit and they've issued an assessment, right? Maybe upon further review, they find out that they probably paid more than they should have paid, right? But they've already made the initial payment. And Ramfac has already agreed to the discount, to the overpayment that they've made. And so the question is, where did they get that overpayment? How did they recover the overpayment?
And I think that goes to the heart of the challenge of this entire situation. It's uncharted territories. In the tax law, if there's been overpayments, there are channels for refund, which you can explore with the tax authorities, and they can actually give you cash refund if it's indeed confirmed that you have overpaid taxes. And in some instances, the tax authorities with FRS would allow you to offset that overpayment with your subsequent liability. So there are established routes to deal with such issues. With RAMFAC, there's absolutely no clarity. And the question is, do you ask RAMFAC to give a refund from that account? We're not aware of any instance that has been done. Or do you then go to FRS and demand, a refund on what FRS did? The jury is out, but it's not likely FRS will give you that refund. So those are some of the areas that things hang in the middle, and we don't have a clarity in terms of how you deal with them. And at the end of the day, as a taxpayer, you feel slighted, because ultimately, when we break down the walls, whether it is FRS or what have you, the monies have all gone to the government. So as a taxpayer, you would expect, if there's been some discrepancies that's been established, you should be given the right due and refund should be made to you. But if the channels followed have not been well laid out in the law, so we're going to be working in the gray areas. So sorry, I can't give you an absolute answer, but I can only tell you, if those overpayments is from the FRS, the established routes, you can go back and claim a refund. But with RAMFAC, because the legality is even in question, it will be difficult for you to actually get a challenge or ask for a refund.